All right, so I'm going to assume that YouTube knows we're live. Welcome to Worldwide Stock Car Chat on Zoom number 213. I'm your host, Greg Galb. The gang's all here with Tony and Mike and Jeremy and Don and Dennis and John and Jim and Bernard and other people. And we're going to start off with show and tell as per usual. Tony's got his hand up already. Are you ready for show and tell already, Tony?
Yes, I've got a tall order.
All right, well, take it away. I don't see any other hands yet. Anybody, put your hand up if you want to do show and tell, and we'll take you after Tony. Is that couldn't make out the box cover. Lots of bubble wrap.
Oh, what are we into today? Looks like that. And this our flattener.
Oh. Did you get two of them, Tony?
Yes. No more making a mistake ruining the chassis now.
Yeah.
You hope.
You get two of the original ones too?
Yeah. I have to sell those.
I was gonna say, you're gonna sell those. Take them to the next swap meet.
Right, that's that one. What's this here?
There you go.
Oh, the new Audi.
Yeah, nice car.
Mm-hmm.
I've got three of those.
Wow.
I looked up the racing liveries that car had and was very disappointed not to find any nice blue and yellow liveries.
Is there not a Bilstein one?
I mean, maybe there has been since I looked, but I couldn't find one.
No, I don't think so.
Well, not in the maybe not in the very latest iteration of that car, but I'm sure that in one of the earlier iterations
there
was a Bilstein
earlier
car.
iteration there was.
Yeah, that was the Audi R8 Bilstein was one of my first blue and yellow cars. But that particular iteration, as it raced in real life, hasn't had one that I've found, and Slotted don't do fantasy liveries. So if I get one, it'll have to be a white kit. Tilt it down a little. Down, not up.
Scale Auto. Porsche.
Number 7 or number 6?
Looks like 6.
Number 6. And the other one's number 7.
Yep. Of course, you got the other one, right?
I can't wait for
I'm guessing the room that he's in is the size of a garage, but it's all packed with stuff, just like what's right behind him there.
Yeah. That's the sideways BMW. Mm-hmm. Didn't you show that last time?
Sorry?
Maybe
I certainly can't keep track of what he shows.
Would you say? You want to see it again?
He thought you might have shown the BMW last week.
No, I didn't have it last week.
Doesn't matter. It's a cool slot car.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, cool slot car.
That's the Bentley.
Uh-huh.
Five.
Oh, nice car. Is that a Mustang or Capri? I don't remember.
Capri, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Aston, yeah.
Aston Martin. I still think that Aston is probably the best car, and there's a lot of guys who like the Huracans and the Ford GTEs, but that Aston Martin is a really, really good car in that range.
It's my third fastest, actually. The Ford GT is the top one, and the Huracan is second.
Mm-hmm.
Nice livery, Tony. Love that livery.
Yeah,
Is that a Nissan?
That's
GTR.
Now, is that a fantasy livery on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. Those old Group 5 cars, I think, were in the days that those were raced. The only place that got a JPS livery was Formula One.
Nice.
Have they done any updates on the Mosler body? I know they've done different chassis over the years, but
This stuff was all
There have been different bodies over the years. Not so much the body itself, but the interiors.
oh
The
yeah,
driver sections have changed over the years.
Lighter
Some of them some of them got a full interior, some of them don't. Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
yeah.
The
all this
sweetest.
pre-ordered. They all come today.
Wow.
The whole lot.
Christmas at Tony's place.
it's every week.
You truly are that slot car guy.
All done,
Careful,
Tony?
careful.
Oh no, of course not. Silly me. Datsun.
Nope, BMW.
Oh,
The end.
I'm not a car guy.
That slot car guy is registered and trademarked, by the way.
I don't want to take his job.
Oh, come on, Tony. You've got the personality.
BMW.
No, it's a Datsun.
Don't.
That's the Datsun.
Well, you're
Big
not far
spin.
off. It was Datsun's version of a BMW. Yeah, you're not far off.
You got a Jenga tower going on there.
That's the one
Tony,
I have.
did you hit the lottery or what happened?
No, all this stuff was pre-ordered and it's been waiting a long, long time for it. And it all everything's coming at the same time. It's cost me a fortune. I couldn't really afford it, but because I ordered it, I had to buy them. You can't say, no, I don't want them.
Tony's one of those, you can't take it with you, and I'm not going to leave it to anybody kind of
No.
guys.
And the,
Oh, there you go.
my friend, Mr. Jeremy,
Hey, good job. It made it.
yeah,
I don't know, Greg. I might end up being buried in a jewel box.
That would be awesome. I would
that's
like to
it
see
for
that.
me.
Giant
Sleeping
slot
John?
car.
Will it have a lift cover, John?
Yeah, and there'll be screws through the bottom so I don't move.
I don't think that would be a
Tony,
problem.
you need to start putting your collection up on a website or something. You're getting your own massive collection started.
This lot's when I go. This stops for my three nephews. They fight over it all.
That's why you're getting two of everything. So,
Yeah.
all right, all done
Anyway,
now, Tony?
Jeremy, how are you getting on with the other thing, the tire cleaning thing?
Oh, I got the first one done here.
That looks good.
In acrylic. It looks okay. I mean, I'm still not, I prefer wood over the acrylic one, but I mean, it works, but I don't know. I'm still tinkering with it. I'll get it.
So you ain't got a price on it yet.
Nah, I don't have it ready to go yet. I want to make sure that it's usable.
Okay,
100%.
plenty of time. I've got no more
Yeah.
money, so I've got to stop spending.
Yeah.
No more buying cars. I can't move it. I've got so many cars. Everywhere you look, there's cars. So I've got to stop. No more.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, we all know how that goes.
Oh, great. So now we're doing Slot Car Anonymous. That's wonderful.
No,
Do
no,
you get
this
like
is,
open?
you know what they say, it's all a matter of punctuation. Is one somebody says no more cars, and other people say no, comma, more cars.
The answer is always N+1.
It's always where you see something, you say, "Oh, I like that." And you try to forget it, and all of a sudden you end up buying it.
All right. Well, thank you for
Me
that
is when
massive show and tell, Tony. Bernard's got his hand up. What would you like to share today, Bernard?
Well, as we know, the first electric race cars or electric road sets came out in 1904. Markland did the very first one, but the first production slot cars were not Scale Electric or VIP. They were Bub and an unknown company from the Soviet Union from 1953. So I brought one to show y'all.
Wow.
This is a Bub set from, let's see, from 1953. And this is the interior. Can you all see that okay?
Yeah.
Where in the world
Wow.
did you get that?
It's a push button on and off. It's an oval and it's a single lane. And this is the car. And it's bakelite. It's not any particular car, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
this is the other side. So you have a brass chassis. That's your pin guide there. And it picked up the contacts on the inside
insides
of
of the
the,
slot.
lane. And then you had a back, I've got to get this right. You have a back pin, so it didn't come out. And so that was your first production. Now, Bub was a company that, made trains and toys, and they were German, and they made stuff in the, in the late 1800s. So it's a very old company. But anyway, it's about 1/43rd scale, I would guess, approximately. Then we have a mystery car. We don't know the exact date, but we think it's around the same time and before Scale Electric. Now, this is a tin plate, not bakelite, same scale, Gaz, Russian Gaz, Victory, Pofiva, which is Russian for victory. The original real car came out in 1945, right after the defeat of Nazi Germany. And the car was produced into the early 60s. And but they changed the grille around 1954, 55. This is the earlier grille. And that's why I'm guessing it's that old. Now, it's an actual slot car, but it's very unusual. It's an AC motor. It has a pin guide right there. And that rubber wheel in the center is what actually moves the cars. These wheels are just freewheeling. And then in the back here, you have wires. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, you can sort of see the wires. And for the positive and the negative. And then it pops off. And you have this vibrator type motor.
So what kind
Very unusual.
what kind of rail system did that use? Did it?
Well, it was a slot. It's got a pin guide. You see the pin, and you see the wires.
Are they like brushes or?
No, they're just like two little wires. Can you?
Okay, so in the track
steady.
itself
You
for
see
those
it there?
wires. So what kind of metal is in the track for those wires to touch is what I'm asking.
Well, we don't know. We imagine it's metal with a division in the center. See, the Bub track is metal, and it has an insulation in the center. It's cardboard. So now it picks up the electricity on the inside of the groove on either side. But on the Russian one, the pin just goes inside. It doesn't actually have any of the contacts. The contacts would go on a track similar to this. The wires that you see, you can sort of see them against my hand. They
Oh,
would
yeah.
go on either side of the track, and then the guide would go in the center. This would probably work on the Bub track, is my guess. It would probably no, it may not work because you have this wheel here. You would have a thinner groove for the Russian car because it just has a very thin pin.
Yeah, and then
See
the
it
entire,
there.
and then the
Yeah, and
drive
then
wheel, the drive wheel has to be, so the slot that the pin goes in has to be narrow because the drive wheel has to be able to get purchase on something. So it's
exactly.
got,
Now,
and the drive wheel isn't very wide to begin with, so the slot's got to be super narrow. And then like the whole track surface must be metal for those wires to touch.
exactly. We have some other sets here at the museum that use a drive wheel like that in the center that drives the car, and the wheels are. I mean, the pin is very thin, and so the groove is very thin. So these two cars are the earliest. I guess if I did it like that, whoop, these are the earliest slot cars that we know of that were actually made. There were experiments. You know, there was a Spanish guy in the 30s that did experiments and made some slot cars. There was some English stuff, but actual slot cars as we know it today was this. The Soviet, I've contacted people in Russia and the toy museums. None of them know anything about it. I've checked some of the Eastern Bloc Facebook pages, and no one can give me any information. So it's still a mystery. I bought it at a flea market about 30 years ago, and I thought it was Italian at first. I couldn't even identify the car until later. And the Bub thing was not a big success, you know, because it didn't race against anything else. They made it for 1, maybe 2 years. They made 2 versions of the set, one without a transformer and one with a transformer. The Bakelite car came in 3 colors. And that's really, they're pretty rare. They show up every once in a while for sale. We have 2 of them here at the museum, looking to get one with a transformer. The Soviet car, well, you know, it's just a total mystery. We're just guessing. And from all the evidence, it looks like it's, you know, pre-1957. But maybe next time I come, I'll bring some stuff from 57 because, you know, there's the 10-plate Scalextric and there's the VIP. But I have some other stuff that was made in 57 that nobody's ever seen, which would really be fun to bring. And again, big surprises. And these are actual slot cars. So anyway, I guess that's it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, Bernard, were they Russian or East German?
This car is Russian. It's a Victory. So they wouldn't have made a car like that in Germany called Victory after the war.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually called it. They called it Victory, and this car was made. If you go to any YouTube stuff and look at Soviet street scenes, you'll see this car quite a bit. But this is the earlier version. So this version was made till I think 54, 55. And then they changed the grill considerably. So
very cool. Very, very cool.
Excellent.
Thank you for the history lesson.
Yeah.
What was the museum again?
oh, it's just the Slot Car Museum here in Houston. You know, we just had a visitor who came in from Virginia yesterday, and we have about 8,000 cars. We have about 800 sets, literature, parts, accessories. It's the largest collection of stuff from 1912 to 1960 in the world, the largest collection of rail cars. And we have stuff from every country that made them in the world except for Venezuela and Vietnam. Those are the only 2 countries we don't have stuff from. And we have all scales. And there's new stuff too. You know, we like the new stuff. You know, we have you know, stuff from Velosaur and, you know, Slot Classic and Fly and all of that.
And you're a bona fide television star. You were on American Pickers.
Oh yeah, I was on Extreme Collectors. I was on several TV shows, but yeah, those guys were really nice. You know, the way they work is they send a photographer to your house and he photographs and asks, would you be willing to sell this or that? He doesn't know anything about the stuff, but he wants to make sure if they show up, you'll sell stuff. Then he takes the photographs back and someone looks at them and decides, well, we're going to do this. they don't tell the two guys what's actually there. They just give them an overall view of what's there. They don't contact me ahead of time. They didn't ask me to do any price fixing or anything. All they asked is I had a Messerschmitt, and they asked me to put it out front when they showed up, and they didn't buy it, and I wouldn't sell it. But when they were in there, they would say, "Well, would you take this?" You know, I was selling Indian oil cans, everything, and whatever they said, "Would you sell it?" I said yes, and they stopped the cameras and they said, "Bernard, we need you to bargain. You know, ask for more money." So, sure, I'll do that. So I did that, asked for more money, and they paid for it. And they were very nice. You know, there was a crew of about 6. There were 2 camera people, a Chinese woman, another guy. There was a British woman who's in charge of the motels and the food, and she would find where the bars and the clubs were so they would party at night. And they had like 2 or 3 guys that loaded everything into a van. So after they left, the guys stayed for a while because they had to pack everything. It was a very enjoyable experience. Everybody was really wonderful and nice. I wish they still were doing things. I don't think they're in
Yeah,
business.
they're kind of in limbo from what I understand right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Frank died. Frank passed away.
He
And
did?
yeah, I believe so. I think I saw something about him passing away, and I could be wrong, but I think so.
I knew he was ill, but I didn't realize he passed. Wow.
I think he did.
I saw that too. Yeah, he passed.
Wow. That's too
He had
bad.
250 motorcycles, he told me.
Yeah, well, he actually, yeah. So Mike put some of those actually through Mecum Auction. He's just recently sold some. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how many Mike himself has, but you know, they're into the old, especially Americana stuff. And you know, I have Indians, or I worked in the Harley business for 20 years. So, you know, I used to have a lot of bikes. Now I'm down to about 4 or 5, and you know,
Oh yeah, that's not a lot.
no, no, it's not if you work in the business, because you know,
That's
you get special deals when people trade in, and you come across stuff all the time. But as you get older, you know, I ride just sidecars now. You know, my main bike is a Russian Ural with sidecar retro, and then I have a 350 Jawa from 1958 with a sidecar. Those are my main bikes, and then I still have a Messerschmitt.
Well, I got to tell you that whenever my wife thinks I have too many slot cars, I show her pictures of your collection.
Luckily, my wife is Japanese, and she always works with me. We've been married over 30 years, and
Nice.
you know, so I've been lucky, very lucky. And I live in a
Oh,
warehouse. You know, you have to have a warehouse.
well, yeah, but that's what my wife tells me too, that we live in a warehouse. Yeah, what do you?
I recommend it to collectors. You know, all my friends that have a lot of cars, they've got them, you know, stacked in shelves and closets, and they have no room for anything.
Right.
You buy a warehouse. We have a 7,600 square foot warehouse that we bought for less than a 2 or 3 bedroom house anywhere. And it's all concrete, built in 1942, 7,600 square feet for 120,000. You can fix it any way you want. We've been at this new one for 3 years. And the last 5 places I've lived have all been warehouses. So, you know, I like it. I prefer it. I
That's
also
very
get a
cool.
warehouse.
Well, thank you very much for the history lesson. Let's move on and give Big Den some time. What would you like to share, Big Den?
Greetings after a long time, fellow worldwide chatters. So
See
I've
ya.
been undergoing therapy, you know, for slot car racing can do that, do you? Actually, it's been sleep therapy. I've had to get, you know, on a machine and, you know, get some regular hours in, which is a bit hard for me, the way my life goes. But yeah, I've got a few new things since I was last on, which was probably 5 or 6 weeks, I guess. So I've see if I can remember how to share a screen. And how are we looking? We got something up?
Coming. There we go. Somebody posted that on a Facebook group and said they want to call this the Greg Gaub Corvette.
Yeah. So I thought I'd worm my way back into your affection by, you know, showing a blue and yellow car. And well, there wasn't enough blue and yellow on it. So I did the rear inserts blue and the front inserts yellow, just as a bit of contrast there. So just cycling through a couple of versions of it.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, close up there of the coloured wheel inserts.
Very nice.
And over the years, you've probably, over the chats we've had, you probably have realised my penchant or penchant for advanced slot cars. So this is the latest one. A bit of a story to this. I was looking around and I found this car on an Italian website. Then when they found out that they wanted $106.59 to post every one of the 4 items I was thinking of buying on them, I politely declined. So, and then just by a sheer stroke of luck, I happened to find it in our nation's capital, Canberra, for $70 new in the box, and less than the postage would have been to come from Italy. So, just a couple more of that one.
Have you raced it yet?
Yeah. I've given it a couple of runs around it. I haven't raced it in anger, Mike. But the main problem with this is that it's got one of these powerful advanced slot motors in it that are just beyond the capacity for me to get it around our small tight track. That one, the dark, it is dark red. It's not the orange one. And if you believe what's on the website, it's a 35k motor. So
I have one. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the this particular Porsche Spider. I've got the black presentation or test car one, and I've actually won a race down at Laguna Seca with it. So, but I've put a softer motor in it just to get So. And then, sorry, I'm not sure why I'm getting that one. Let's have a look. I'll just
that one's got a plastic pod chassis, though, doesn't it?
Plastic. I
have the same car, but it's got the aluminum chassis, the pod.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Those are. I'm going to say this for our American audience. The aluminum pods, they're very expensive. I noticed Pendle's had one there. It was 21 English pounds, which makes it about $42, $43 in our monopoly money. So I'm just going to go back and reshare a screen here because I just added a couple of new photos there as I was coming on. So okay, righto. So I'll open that one up.
Big Den, was that a Porsche RS Spider?
Yep.
Yeah. It was, John. Yeah. Okay, so I've got the one up now that I want to share. So share screen again. Just need to find it. I think it's that one. How's that? Does that come up?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Our club is just going to introduce the NSR F1, the 86 to 89 class. I've actually managed to get onto a white kit from our good friend Phil, and so I've just started doing getting the decals and painting that. I haven't even had time to edit my wrench out of the shot yet. It's the color is loosely it's out of period of it. The color is loosely the ill-fated 40 Ford team from around about 1995. So I just happen to have a set of their decals from Pato here in Australia, and I thought I'd give it a go. They didn't come up too bad. As you can see, I've got to put the suspension detail and the driver in it yet. So I thought I'd throw it onto the chat today. So that's for me for show and tell. One of my other hobbies, and this is for Leo's, it's not Leo, for Tony's information. I watched some of the plane spotting YouTube channels, and there's one called LA Flights. Their hobby is, their motto is one more plane. So Tony, your motto could be one more slot car.
Except there would be two.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you go. You can just pretend you stutter. Yeah. One more. Oh, that's three.
Just one more. Only one more.
Okay, then. Thanks, guys, for having me back in, and I'll just mute the thing and lower my hand and do all those things. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Dennis.
Glad you're back, Big Dan.
Yeah, good to see you. All right, Jim, you ready?
Yep. Good afternoon or morning, everybody. I wasn't on last week because I was at the slot car track. Thursday, I was at the slot car track. Friday, I was at the slot car track. Saturday and Sunday, I was at the slot car track. Monday, we were debriefing from the race we held over the weekend. Last night, I went HO racing, and I'm here today. So
You're gonna go to slot car track tonight.
I'm slot card out, and not to mention during that time, I got some new slot cars. They came in at the same time, so I'm working on these. I'm going to do some videos and some the product videos and so forth. But I got the new Ferrari 296 and the Mustang NASCAR Mustang from Area 71. So I'm working on those. And then if that's not enough, these showed up at my doorstep. Now, I don't know who sent these or who built these, but they look really good. Courtney, I did get to put the Porsche on the track, and it's just too light for the Modesto track with glue on it. So I didn't try to run it there and just put it on the track to see. But Courtney sent these to me, so I'm going to be doing some testing hopefully this week on them. And I will have some Club Corner and may try to go after Wayne's record. We'll see.
That
And you're still married, Jim? You're still married?
Yeah, to the Area 71 cars. Yeah. So a lot happened this week for me. You know, I mean, literally 5 days at the track. Took one day off. Went HO racing last night, a night race with headlights, and then today and working on videos and debriefing. Yeah, it was a big event. I'll talk about that when we get to Club Corner. But we had a great event over the weekend.
You know, Jim, you might have to get a job to get a rest, you know.
That's true. Go back to my day job, YouTube videos.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. I don't see any other hands. Does anybody else have anything they want to show and tell before we move on? I don't see Chris on here anywhere. Okay, no other show and tell. So moving on to Club Corner. If you got some slot car racing you want to talk about. Unfortunately, I missed our slot car racing this week. Had more important things to take care of. So looking forward to hearing what you guys got up to. Mike had his hand up first. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I actually have a share or two. Okay. Come on. Fat fingers.
Small screen.
Yeah. So we had two races this week. Last week, Shiggy had a slight problem on the way home from work on his bicycle and got a concussion. And I think probably he had leftovers. He had a little problem raised in this week. He was still not all there. He apparently went down on his bike and bounced his head off the pavement 3 times, even with a helmet on. It was pretty nasty, I guess. But at any rate, he's back this week, and we raced. One of the races we had were the wonderful Group 5 cars from Sideways, which are always good fun. And you could race the Capri and the Ferrari 512 BB and the Porsche 935 K3. And I ended up on top with the Capri. So interestingly enough, I've started, I don't know why I've never done this before, having a Magnet Master. I've started checking the magnetism of the cars themselves. Usually what I did is I checked just the height at the rear wheels to see what was going on there, and put them about the same overall generally for my tuning. But I thought, I wonder what the magnetism is for there. And I discovered that there's a couple 3 grams difference between the 3 cars, even though they're the same track height. So the motors are different magnetism. And kudos to me for winning with the least magnet car. So, but it was close.
but 2 or 3 grams on what? 5 or 10
Downforce.
grams, or 20 or 30 grams?
No, there's 5 to 8 grams
Okay, so pretty darn low to
of
begin.
downforce. So it's not a lot of downforce, but it is some.
Yeah.
And but it I didn't realize that it varied significantly. Well, that's a significant difference. I mean, and the Capri with its fat back end with the spoiler way out the back is going to be more, you know, tail happy anyway, no matter what. But I managed to hold it under control, but it was just, we, Ratby and I seesawed back and forth the whole race, and I beat him by about half a lap. And both of us were running on low on damage points. We each had 4 damage points already, and 1 more, and you were, you know, into the pits to repair. So both of us were trying to tiptoe around the track, especially around the ghost cars. Especially with these cars, they're slightly tail happy anyway. But if you tap the ghost car and the ghost car isn't going to move, you're out. So you really have to do it. And he was coming like barn busters down at the last part of it, and he got deslotted by a ghost car, which wasn't his fault, and I gave him the point back because it was silly, and it was like the last 3 laps anyway, so I only had 3 there. But I really had to concentrate hard in order to keep from falling out and stay ahead of him. So it was an interesting race. And then I think, oh yes, we had some of my favorite cars. Really, these are SRC and Fly Porsches. The winner was my car with the Porsche 910, the blue and yellow one, and that's an SRC Porsche 910. And the second place, the blue and white one, was a 907 LH, which is also an SRC. And then Shiggy had the fastest of the 3 cars by at least 3/10 and couldn't keep it. We did a little BOP with it, and I dropped the voltage on it and took away 1 of his damage points, and he was never in contention as a result of that. He just was on the throttle too heavy with that car. But we were turning on my track 8.2 seconds, 8.1 seconds in that range with the 910 and the 907. And Shiggy the car was capable of 7/8. So there was a significant difference in the speed there. But Shiggy couldn't keep it together to beat me. But he was always making up time. You know, he would come by us like gangbusters, but he couldn't make up his lost laps from falling out. So I ended up winning that one, and it was another close one, a little bit less. I think it was 2 laps that I had on Mike, on Ratby. But it was a good time. We both enjoyed it and had some good banter back and forth. And the videos are up, so if you want to see them. And for those of you, there were actually 23 people that looked at the whole thing.
Nice.
For however long, and I went, really? So kudos to those people who stuck it out. I appreciate it.
Probably somebody at their desk, you know, truing tires or you know, working on the car.
Sure, something to watch
Mike.
while you're doing it.
How many of them are related to you, though? That's what you need to know.
None, I'm sure, because I don't have any relatives that are really into it as much. So it's but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Did you try
That's all for me.
Did you try cleaning some of your track up with WD-40, Michael?
Oh yeah. You were gonna do you're gonna clean the track with WD-40.
God, I forgot. Sorry. I will write a note to myself to do that.
You were going to run
thank
some
you
around
for
the
reminding
outside
me.
lane, weren't you, to see whether that lustrous, whether it worked for you.
Go do it.
I'll
now.
tell you what, I will do that late this afternoon and let you know.
No
You
guarantees.
guys are acting like you're his slot car wife or something. Like, did you do the track, dear? Did you do the track?
Well, I've just holding him to what he said he would do last time we spoke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
you're the slot car spouse. There you go.
Could be.
You promised.
There you go. What can I say? I'm sorry. I'll never do it again.
No, just wondered if he'd done it. That's all.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
I actually piqued my interest now. I have a lot of other stuff going on this week, but I'm hoping to get back at that, and I'll try that and see. I will write a note, however, because I am an old fart.
That doesn't work for you.
You better, or Wayne next week is he's just not even speak to you. He's just not going to talk to you.
Yeah, gonna have flames spitting from my ears.
All right. Thank you, Mike. And Big Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, well, having watched a lot of the Western states from Motown Raceway, I know that Jim's going to have a lot to cover because I put a lot of time in watching it. So I thought I'd put my hand up quick. I've got a bit to catch up on too, but not quite Wayne's record thing. Mike, I was think we might have to rename you now from No Magnet Mike to Not Much Magnet Mike after your comments about your Capri there. So,
well, it'll be interesting when I start using the Polycar track because that's got stainless rails on it, and there isn't going to be as much downforce. So
but they're also they're also a little bit proud, aren't they?
Yeah, they're taller.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
flush.
That's
So,
true.
yeah. And it's not stainless. It's not stainless. It's they changed their marketing. It's stainless, but not full stainless. It's like rust.
Well, it's an alloy. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's probably a good amount of iron in there.
We'll see.
Anywho, go ahead, Big Dan.
Yeah, one of the other things too, highlight of the intervening weeks is I've watched a few, well, I probably watched all of Wayne's videos from the UK Slot Festival, including the guest spot with Dewan on there. I was quite a surprised to see Dewan over at the Slot Fest. So he was, Wayne claimed him as his friend from the Worldwide Chat. I don't know whether Dewan was all that keen on that, but anyway, we'll see if we can do some sharing again now. I'm batting 1 for 1 at the moment, so I'll see if I can keep up the good work.
Well, even when you see what's going on in California, Dewan's like eyewitness news, man. He is everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, right. So I'm seeing something on my screen. I hope you're seeing it on yours. So this is just a bit of a quick run through. So, well, it's at least 5 weeks since I've been on because we've had 5 weeks of racing in May. So we started off, that was the program for May the 3rd. And if I move to the next picture, and a pleasant surprise, Dan actually managed to take a win in the Revo Slot GT2 class. I'm usually trailing behind Dave or his father, who are in 2nd and 3rd there, and so it was nice to have a nice consistent run and get the win. So there was the scores. I think I had a couple of laps in hand. I always have this panel always. There we go. I'll pull it down. So there we go. So now I can see the scores. Yeah. So it's pretty close racing when you look at the first 4 cars within 2 or 3 laps. So now the panel I've dragged out of the way, obscuring my right arrow. So there we go. Right. So then we moved on to what's that? Slotted DTM, and Dave's father Peter is sort of the gun in this class. His Calibra just goes. It's so smooth and so quick and handles so well. I'm somewhere out down the back there in 6th place, not shining in that category these days. So there we go. Then we moved on to the 3rd class. We had a Revo Slot Porsche Cup, and holy dooly, another win on the night. So in my little number 9 Mizuno car there, so I was quite happy about that, of course. And
well, Big Dan, the extra sleep is paying off, man.
Yeah, it means I don't go to sleep at the controls. But again, it was very close, as you can see there. It was just 2 laps covering the top 4. So and then that probably takes us on to the next week. So the highlight of the last part of May is that we're actually running a 6-round Revo slot GT2 championship. So we're about 4 weeks through that as we sit here and talk about it. So starting off with slotted DTM on the night, followed by the feature class, then slotted Group C and what a surprise, Peter took the win again in his Old Spice Calibra. Fairly comfortable win there. I was a little bit closer to the front, but not close enough. And this is what we're racing for in the series. This Revo slot, the Goodwrench car has been put up as the first prize for the series, so that's
Nice.
it's something to look at. If I'd known that and I'd been supremely confident, I wouldn't have bought the other one. So, but anyway, I like the numbers. Yeah, the number 72. So got off to a good start with on my Viper is second there, but Dave's McLaren is probably the fast car of the series. So I had to settle for second place, but probably the best score I've ever got. 91 laps is probably the best score. So it's that score. It looks a lap difference, but it was probably only about 12 or 13 feet between us. I was just coming up to complete my 92nd lap, and David had gone over the counter. So we were sort of out. There's our fastest laps for the night, and there's an extra point for the fastest lap. And you can see I was comfortably the fastest lap by 0.004 of a second. And so when I did the sat down and did the calculations of what that was like, say on a 60-foot track, it worked out to be slightly under half an inch. So that was pretty close. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's that took us into our third race for the night, which was Group C, and Peter had another win on that. Yeah, he's got his.
Well, Big Den, a half inch is the difference between ooh and ah.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
No wonder your missus always complaining about you. Okay. And again, I didn't go as bad as what I have got in Group C. I could just never get grip on these cars. That's probably one thing I needed to undergo therapy for anyway. So that took us to, so Peter had 2 weeks for the night, 2 wins for the night. Then we moved on to the second round. So it was basically the same menu. And again, that boring Peter won again in the Old Spice Calibra. I was a little bit, again, I moved up and got a podium, although probably because we only had 5 people racing, it helped me. But I was a bit closer on the scores anyway, so I was up with the other guys there. A bit closer.
You're still on the podium, Dennis.
Yeah. Okay, so then that took us into the Revos, and Dave again got me slightly, and yeah.
Oh gosh,
there's a familiar theme about that 90, and I think the 90 for the 6 heat scores of 30 laps between the two of us. And
what was the tiebreaker to put you into second place then?
He was ahead on track position. Yeah, he finished a little bit further around. Probably in this case about a quarter, maybe half a lap. So is that from memory? I am getting old, John, so I can't remember all that well. And again, a bit slower. I managed to score the fastest lap and grab another point, which I really need. But again, not a lot between the two cars, as you can see there. And Peter again winning slotted Group C. And my car wasn't even there, which you'll probably understand why when you see the scores. I just DNF. And she shouldn't have even bothered starting by the look of that. Okay, that takes us to the the third round of the series, and even though it says Revo slot GT race 1 down the bottom there, that should be race 3. So that was the menu, same 3 classes. And one of our founding guys down there, Cox, he hasn't been racing a lot, but he managed to get his anonymous Calibra, anonymous wingless, decalless, detailless, numberless Calibra, I think for his first win in the class. So he was pretty happy about that, obviously. I was well off the pace again with grip. So, but you know, the news does get better eventually. But even look at this, you know, I did win the round of the championship, so that was good. And the scores again, I did my. I was ahead on track position this time, John. So I got the. I actually got the first place, although the scoring there says I was second. But again, another 3 lots of 30, so I've got consistent, if nothing else. But in this case, I think I scored the win by about 5 feet. David says 3 feet, but I said to him, he was probably measuring across the hairpin rather than round it. So, and then we got a bit of ribbing for, you know, which of us was telling tales and not so. And then again, did I just manage to get the fastest lap? Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah. So, no, sorry, Dave got it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, and so after 3 rounds, that was the standings and the points. Some of the guys had only had competed in 1 race to that stage. So
I think we're stuck on one screen though.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Which screen are you on?
The one that says that you're in second. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It might have been a bit of slow internet. You know, it's got to go 12,000 miles. You know, to get the.
Yeah. Well, the beaver on my generator must be tired. Sorry.
Oh, you want to try a hamster upgrade?
Mhm.
Okay. So, again. Peter must have been away. That I didn't see Peter. Yeah, Peter was away, so he didn't win. He didn't win Group C this week. He was at some historic car racing meeting. So there we go. Now, even though the picture shows where I really finished was in 4th in the Mazda, the blue and white one. Whoops, sorry, go back. But 3 of us were on 78, and I would have liked the picture there to have told the story. But on track position, I was the 3rd of the people on 78. So again, a bit of close racing, but I had to reluctantly step down from the podium, John. So, and then to our last, the most recent meeting, which was last Friday night, Group C, slotted Group C took a bit of a rest, and sideways Group 5 came in. And so Peter was back in front. I was second, which was a bit better performance from my side. Started to get a bit of grip in the Mercedes, which I ran this week, the silver one, and just managed to grab Leon for second place by about 3 feet, I think. So I was again happy to beat him and take the second spot. And then on to the 4th round of the GT2 Championship. Had to settle for second again this week, and again less than a lap in it. Again, I was just about to. David just crossed over for his 91st lap, and I was just about to. I was probably about halfway around, I reckon. So I figured that over the course of the 4 heats, there's been about a lap between us, in aggregate. So it's been pretty close between the 2 of us. And sideways Group 5, and David brought out a new Nissan Skyline, and it is a beast. It was the fastest car on the track all night. 92 laps is a really good score, and his lap times are actually quicker than the Revos. So we were left trailing badly. I got my car going again pretty well. It looks like I'm 4 laps behind, probably because I am. but it was that one bad heat that the 25 in the starting heat. But other than that, I was pretty much on par with what Peter was scoring, and I'm sort of looking forward, having found a bit of grip, to pushing myself up towards the top regularly. And that's the story after 4 rounds. There's 2 rounds to go. I'm 10 behind, so I'd have to win the series. I'd have to win the last 2 races and get the 2 fastest laps. And assuming Dave ran second, to nobble him. Oh, I think that would take me to. Yeah, I'd pick up 12 points if that was the case. So pretty close, but anyway, great fun racing there. And I'll stop the share because that's all I've got. And thank you again, and we'll look forward to catching up again with you really soon.
Awesome.
Any questions, comments?
You have to send the boys around to Dave's house so that you can't come and race next time.
Yeah, right. It's a bit hard because he lives at the track.
Oh,
yeah. I left something there one night, and I had to go back again the next day, and they, quite expected to see him practicing furiously, but my suspicions weren't confirmed. He actually puts a tarpaulin over the track after racing because he gets condensation in his shed, which isn't lined on top. So to protect the track from water damage, he does cover it. So he wasn't sneaking any practice in at all. So. Okay then, thank you.
All right, thanks, Big Den. And Jim, go ahead.
Big Den, thanks for watching. Ever since we started racing at Motown, my dream was to have a big race. And so that came off this last weekend. It's the Revo Slot Western States Championship. And it was more work than I'd ever imagined. We put a lot of time and effort into it. I wanted to try some ideas that I had. I wanted to try some ideas from other tracks and get rid of some things that other tracks did that I didn't like. So we tried to do a great job on it. This is the event itself. It was for Revo Slot. There was also a BRM IROC race. And so it was 3 events over 2 days. In hindsight, we might have bit off a little bit more than we could chew in trying to run 3 events in 2 days. So we're going to revisit that and see what we did wrong. Track owner Mark Pollard was phenomenal. He bankrolled the event. He did all the ordering, the trophies, the T-shirts, and everything else. And so without him, this just would not have been possible. And I don't think the people that came to the event, especially the local people that had never been to Electric Dreams or a big event, quite knew what to expect. So when they walked through the door, we had our registration. We had lots of volunteers. Rhonda on the left, Mark's wife in the middle, and Mark's daughter on the right. And so first thing you came through the door, you came in and you got a registration packet. Again, people that had never been to a big race had never seen a registration packet. They just come in, get their pits ready, and start racing. The registration packet, you got a name tag, you got a participation award, and you got a packet showing what was happening that particular day. There was this part of it was set different for each day. So this was the Sunday event with the timetable, the practice, tech, qualifying, the race procedures, and everything else. And we tried something new. And you see that last chance shootout right in the middle. One of my pet peeves kind of at big races is a lot of racers don't get it. If you move up to the semis, you move up to the A main, you get a lot of track time. If you don't, you don't. So we instituted what's called the last chance qualifier. On Saturday, it was a whole heat. So if you didn't make the move up out of your heat, we had a big round robin, 3 minutes per lane. And so everybody got 2 chances, 3 minutes on each lane to make the semi-main. On Sunday, because we're running the IROC, we didn't have the time to do that. So the last chance shootout became an another qualifier. So the drivers that didn't move up to the semis got 1 minute to turn the fastest lap. It came down to the last guy on the track. Cedric knocked out Eddie Shore on his fourth qualifying lap, and everybody around was kind of cheering and everything else because it really came down to one lap and knock somebody out and you move forward. So again, this was what was given to everybody in their racer packets. So everybody knew what was going on and so forth. We did have t-shirts. These were designed by Ian Douglas. So I want to thank him for doing all the graphics as well as a lot of other work behind the scenes. It was sponsored by Revo Slot and Alan at 132 Slot in Tacoma. And he brought down a bunch of cars, as well as the BRM IROC cars, which the track owner purchased actually to have the IROC race. But he brought down some cars for us to play with. During the lunch break, the track was not open, but we put the 24 scale cars on the track and everybody got a chance to play with them more or less. Alan did supply prizes. This is one of them. Tim from out of town won one of the Corvettes, and there were other prizes as well. I've lost my train of thought. Okay, yeah. Oops. There we go. Yeah. Tim won one of the awards. Like I said, there were 3 of these given out by Alan, so we want to thank him for that. When you came in the door, there's about 15 monitors in this track now. This is one of the renovations that Mark has done. So this was up there to welcome all the racers in. And so, we tried to make this race a big deal. And going to Electric Dreams and seeing what Marco does, and a lot of the stuff I did was just flat copied from him. And then some of the stuff was what we've done on our own. One of the other things that I did, because we were very limited in time, the last chance qualifying is another round of qualifying essentially. So it takes a lot of time. Excuse me. So when you came in the door at registration, you were asked to sign up for a slot. So each driver got 1 rotation of practice, 2.5 minutes per lane through the track. Nobody got more than that. I like this idea. I think it worked. You didn't have to wait in line with 30 people waiting to get on the track because everybody got 1 shot to the track and only 1. So I think that worked out pretty well. We did have identifications. I stole this from Marco. So each car, as it went through tech, had a label put on it, which, purpose for that made us easier to sort the heats. So the cars stayed in impound. When you came up to race, this was actually one of the semi-mains, but during the heats, your cars were placed in the groups of the heat, so you could easily identify and pick up your car and go racing. It was a big success. We had 72 entries, which is the way RC racing does it. It's the number of entries. That was over 3 events. I think we had 27 actual racers, but most everybody raced in all 3 events. So we had a great group. The classes were Revo Slot GT2, and you can see the variety of cars here. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Revo Slot GT2 and Revo Slot Group 2. This was the sort after qualifying. Ian and I, our cars are in the back because we were the top 2 qualifiers. The top 2 qualifiers advanced directly to the semis, and then we had the heats to determine the others. So you actually had 3 chances to make the semi. Qualify 1 or 2. Top, depending on the day, the number of cars out of the heats or the last chance qualifier. So everybody literally had 3 chances to make the semis and move on to the A main. There's the BRM IROC cars. These were awesome. They were purchased by the track owner and painted in custom, obviously lane colors. And they ran great. The results at the end of the race, I have the results later, but I had 90 laps. The winner had 90 laps. I finished 4th. It was that close. The next 4 cars were on 88 laps. So we had 8 cars within 2 laps of each other in the IROC. Mark's daughter, Rachel, put this together. This is an up-to-date scoreboard. So you see this qualifying on the left. As of this scoreboard, we haven't finished everybody. So we've gone through the qualifying and the heats. So this was updated as the race went along. So you could tell where you were in relation to everybody else going through the heats and qualifying and so forth. So this was up on a couple monitors throughout the day. It was live streamed. Thanks, Big Den, for watching. This is new for Motown and again, copied from other tracks. Yeah, I think it looked very good from what I saw of it. There's fairly high resolution cameras. There was only 2 cameras, one on the drivers, one on the track, and then an inset with the scoreboard on it. So I think that went pretty well. At the end of each day's race, you were given a complete set of results. So this was given out to everybody at the end of the day. And you can see here the qualifying, top 2 qualifiers in yellow. In the heat races, those were the move ups to the semis in blue. In the last chance qualifier, the 2 green, those were the move ups. Then you have the semis. The semi on Sunday was a 10-car round robin, 6 advance. On Saturday, it was straight 2 heats of 6. So that was done for time constraints. Here are the A main cars. This is the GT2 race. We had a bunch of Marcoses and 1 Porsche. A little bit bigger variety in the Group 2 race, 3 Opels, couple Alphas, and 1 Escort. So we had a good variety. I think everybody was very pleased with the way the cars ran on that track. And I think, you know, everybody had a great time. The results, you can tell 90% of what I'm talking about is the event. The event was the thing. It came off good. We were actually ahead of schedule on Saturday, which is kind of rare for a race. But the results are the results. And Ian, I wouldn't say he dominated, but he had a lap or so on everybody. I had an issue in Group 2. I was right behind him going into the 5th heat, about a lap and a half behind him, and then had an issue and dropped back actually to last. But we had a great race. And like I said, in the IROC, Ted won, Eddie second. We had 3 people from Southern California come up. We had 1 gentleman from Barbados, and we had one racer from Salt Lake City. So we had a good showing of racers. And lastly, you know, you think you can do this with 1 or 2, but it took a lot of people to get this race together. Mark did everything, you know, like I said, bankrolling it, purchasing everything, doing everything else. I kind of organized the event. Ian helping with tech, did all the web design, did all the graphic design, as well as a lot of other stuff. Kathy Wilbur is our race director. She was up in the tower pretty much all day for 2 days and so on. You can see here, Mark Pollock's family, Braden, Rachel, and Louise all helped out. We had people in registration. We had track maintenance. We had track repair. We had the event was catered. We had lunches besides just the normal hot dogs that the track usually has. We had tri-tip and pulled pork catered in by Jennifer, who is the previous owner's wife. So it was a group effort by a lot of people. And I really want to thank all these people because they really made this happen. And it came off, I think, as good as we could be expected. So we're definitely going to do it again, whether it's a different class or whatever. We don't know the format. I don't think we'll do 3 races or 3 events in one weekend. I think we learned from that. And so we learned a lot going forward. We had a great time. And I think the event came off as good as I could have expected, given this was the first time we've done something like this. So that was the Western States Championship. That graphic that Ian put together was awesome. So we just had a great time. I think everybody liked it. I think everybody specifically liked the last chance qualifier because it gave everybody more track time. And so going forward, we'll keep some of the stuff that we did, and we learn from our mistakes and what we did right and wrong.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well done, Jim.
Yeah, and next, Dwan, you saw what you missed, and hopefully we'll get some more people out next time we do a big race. So
yeah.
We'll see.
And Wayne, your record still stands. Well done.
Yeah,
no problem.
That was nowhere near.
Jim, I have a.
Yeah, sorry, Courtney. Yeah, Jim, I'd just like to say it was thoroughly enjoyable. I think it was very professional. The fact there's only 2 cameras didn't detract from it at all, and there was just the right mix of moving from one to the other. And one question I would like to ask, and I saw that you gave credit there for the track maintenance. I knew it wasn't. Didn't know who the gentleman was. I knew it wasn't Mark, but when they were fixing the track, that little explosion or that little burnout that they do after they fix the track, could you explain that to me?
I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know what they're. Obviously, it's made, I guess, to get the glue to set quicker. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah,
that's a normal thing they do there.
Yeah, no, it was just quite interesting. I thought, hello, we've started a fire. You know,
makes for a great video.
Setting fire to the glue that they put on the track when you have to glue the braid down.
Yep.
Yeah, it heats it up and it just gets it tacky quicker than just having to stand there and wait for the contact adhesive to dry enough that you can roll it down and have it stay down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, very spectacular and obviously did the job. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, folks.
So that was the repair then, gluing some braid back down.
Mhm.
Yeah, the track is like, that track was in Southern California. It was built by Monty Oren way back, probably 35 to 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's old. It's been around a long time.
It's a very, if you want to call slot car tracks historic, it has a lot of history to it, both in Southern California where it started, a lot of Eurosport racing on that track back in the day, and now it's up here in Modesto's.
I'm looking for the broadcast. Was it not saved, or am I just not looking in the right place?
Are you on YouTube?
It's on Motown site.
Yeah, there's a couple
Motown,
different Motown sites because of the new owners created a new site.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
And I think it looks pretty good to me. You could actually see the cars and everything else, and it was an automatic switching. It was, I think, like 30 seconds on the track and then 10 seconds on the drivers and back and forth. So the switching, Braden handled all that. So that was auto switching, and then we didn't have the capability of doing picture in picture. So it was actually a third camera on a separate monitor to be able to inset the scoreboard on it at the same time.
Was there any commentary on that live stream?
I didn't hear the question. I didn't hear you, Wayne.
Was there any commentary on the live stream?
Just what was coming off the PA. So not much, but yeah, coming off the PA.
Motown
Is Wayne's hair blonde?
It is now.
Blondes have more fun. Jim, what would you have done different? Anything?
I wouldn't have done 3 races. The IROC was a lot of fun. Originally, I had planned to do the IROC on Friday, GT2 on Sunday, and Group 2 on Saturday, and Group 2 on Sunday. So 3 separate events. We changed that because if you came up from Southern California or wherever and drove up on Friday and we had an IROC, you'd have 0 practice virtually for your GT cars or the other cars. So we moved that to Sunday partially for that reason. I don't think I'd do 3 events, maybe 2, maybe just even 1 and do, because we started at 8 a.m. on Saturday and we got done ahead of schedule, but that was still 6:30. So that's a 10 to 11 hour day because of the last chance qualifier. So probably going forward, we may do 1 class, do qualifying and the heats on Saturday and extend the practice session. And then Sunday would be the last chance qualifier and the semis and the A's. So we're looking at all the different possibilities, but that's probably the biggest thing is 3 events in 1 weekend is probably too much.
Yeah. Was there any t-shirts left?
I don't know. The t-shirts were done pre-order only, but he had about 10 or 12 left. I can find out for you.
Okay.
Jim, just out of interest, I think it was Eddie, Todd, and Elias went up from Electric Dreams. What sort of driving time would have been involved for them?
It's about 320 miles.
Oh, okay. Yes.
500 kilometers.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, it's a drive.
Yep. Okay.
I know somebody, I won't mention who it doesn't make any difference, but somebody said, I'm going to send something to Electric Dreams if you want to go over and pick it up. I go, Electric Dreams is 380 miles from my house. So they just assume if you live in California, you can just drive over there. But yeah. Modesto is 60 miles from my house. So Modesto to Electric Dreams is about 320.
6.5 hours.
Yeah, it was, when I looked at it, it was 5.5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't Texas, but it's big.
Yeah. Well, it's actually top to bottom because there's 350 miles north of me. So it's not as big as Texas. Yeah, absolutely. But lengthwise, if you go top to bottom, it's almost like Texas east to west.
And it's probably somebody in the UK that thinks everything is 50 miles away.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you live in England, you must be neighbors to the other guy. So yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Almost embarrassed to mention that we drive a few hours to get to a race meeting over here because it's typical for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, you drive on the wrong side of the road too. So,
Yeah.
That was easier than I thought it would be. Okay, well, the floor is open. So anybody, you want to talk about anything?
I had a question.
Go ahead, Juan.
Yeah, Bernard, I may have missed, you may have said it earlier, but the museum, do you have designated hours? Is it just open? You have to make appointments or what?
The museum is open every 7 days a week, but it's by appointment. So you can send me, a personal message through Facebook and arrange a time. And I'm here most of the time, but not all the time. And so it's not like we have constant visitors. We have several a week. And just contact me, message me. That's the old museum. And the new one's totally different. The new one's much larger, better lighted. Everything is behind glass cabinets now with LED lights. It's much nicer than this one. And by the way, I'm a horrible racer. I'm great at collecting, but I can't race.
Well, I was going to say though, but do you have a track set up in the new spot?
Well, I had originally a 3-lane scale electric track, and then I had a Carrera track. Right now, I took the Carrera down, and there's nothing. I'm leaving the table open. I think I'm going to set up unusual tracks for people to be able to see what they look like. Stuff from the 30s or 40s or 50s, or even some weird stuff from the for 60s. Some of the stuff is really bizarre. Some of the track.
Well, even the Total Control racing stuff was bizarre.
Oh yeah. No, it is. There was an Italian set that was similar to that was put out in I think in 68, 69, that had was I think a Porsche and a Ferrari in it, about a little bit bigger than 1/24 scale. It was a total disaster, but the track is gigantic. It's just weird. And of course, you have the AMT sets.
I was going to ask if you had a Turnpike set, because those take weeks to assemble.
Yeah, we have two of them. We have a 1-car and a 2-car, and they're a headache. I don't know why they ever thought this would be successful.
Well, because you know what, they were actually, I guess most of the stuff is designed by adults thinking, well, I think this is cool. Of course, a kid can set it up.
Well, at the price, the adults bought it, and they're thinking, well, I'm buying it for my kid, but I'm sort of buying it to control it. When I was a kid, we had a Lionel train track. My dad ran it. I was never allowed to use it unless he was in the room. I think that was probably the way it was with a lot of the, better slot car sets. Because you figure in 1965, if a slot car set was, say, the average price was around $25, that's $250 in today's money. So a Monogram 4-lane track or the Revell 4-lane track, that was $100. That was $1,000 back then. I mean,
you're right. It was basically unobtainium for most kids. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so, that's why you don't see very many of them. And when you do, most of them, of course, have wear and tear and broken or missing parts. It's hard to find mint in the box stuff nowadays.
Yeah, or to be honest with you, like the Monogram track that I found was totally looked like it was totally unused. Like the box was worse than the contents. To your point, maybe the kids weren't allowed to use it.
Well, you find them when they're in mint condition. You find them where the outside of the box is mint, the inside's mint, or you find them where the outside of the box is messed up, stained or ripped, but the inside was never used. So it'd been in storage, but not taken well care of. So it's hard to find it where everything is pretty mint. I found a Mark set recently, a Monte Carlo set with 2 Ferraris in it. And it wasn't expensive. It was like $125 for the set, but it was mint. And it was on for a while before, no one even bid on it. So that's how I got it so cheap. But occasionally you come across these things. They've been in warehouses, but most of this stuff came out of warehouses quite a while ago. And so a lot of the mint in the box, especially sets, they're hard to find, except for newer sets. But I'll give you an example. The early Atlas sets and the early Aurora sets, where they used a clear plastic bubble over the track in the cars. Very few of those exist, where they didn't cut it out first. You'll see sets that are on sale even right now where they retape everything with Scotch tape, but you can tell it's been opened and the stuff's been taken out. But to find one that's never been opened from, 1963, 64, 65 is very difficult. And of course, pre-war sets are even more so. I don't know if y'all saw the auction a few weeks ago. Lionel made several sets in 1912 to 1915. And we have a 2-car set at the museum with the box. But they also made a single lane set. Well, they came with a single car. And the car was either orange or I think it was red. And 2 of those sets popped up on auction. And I bid on them, but I didn't think they would go this high. They were thinking it would be 800 to 1200 a set. And the boxes were almost, it doesn't look like the cars were really ever used. I mean, there were a couple of little scratches and stuff, but everything really looked pristine. And the boxes, for being 108 or whatever years old, looked really good for cardboard. But one went for 7,500, the other one went for 9,500. So, and those are single car sets. So there's a lot of prices. We have a TIPCO Volkswagen, a VW Bug made around 1938 by TIPCO, and it's electric. It ran on a track. One of those went recently for 9,500. Now it could have been bought by a VW collector because you have cross collectors that can also drive up the prices. But you just never know. It's very, you have people like from the Austin Healey Club that'll bid on an Austin Healey slot car set. There's a famous Hong Kong set by Speed King called the Safari set. Comes with little plastic animals. It was a cheap little set, only sold in Sweden. And it comes with 2 Volvo Amazons. And that went for well over $1,000. The 2 top bidders were Volvo collectors, not toy collectors, but actual collectors. So it's an interesting hobby. And then you have train collectors. You have sets. I recently posted a Bandai set where an XKE or a Toyopet races the early fast train. And people that collect trains that will also buy that. So it's very interesting. I don't know what the most is anyone's ever paid for a slot car. I think around 10 or 12,000 is what I think.
Yeah,
But,
and I think it might have been like a Cox 2E or something years ago.
right, exactly. And years ago, people didn't know how rare and scarce things were until eBay, after several years, really settled it. So I've been collecting since about '89. So if I see something on an eBay site or an auction site that I've never seen before, I try to get it if I can. I'll do anything I can to do it because the odds, if I haven't seen it in 30 years, I may not ever see it again. And it may be the only ones that survived. At the museum, we probably have at least maybe 100 cars and sets that there's no other ones known to exist anywhere in the world. A lot of them are undocumented. It's hard to even get catalogs to educate yourself on this type of stuff. So I recently found a Marx catalog. You would think, well, Marx slot cars, that's easy to get. Marx made very few catalogs. There's a mint catalog from 1965, 66 on British eBay right now, a Marx catalog. If you want it, it's $450. There's
Now,
2 pages.
was the Marx catalog exclusively for their slot car line or all their toys? Because they were the largest toy manufacturer in the world in the late 60s and early 70s.
Yes, the catalogs that I've seen cover everything, but it's a great way to be able to tell what year certain slot car sets were made. And there's some rare Marx stuff. I personally like Marx stuff a lot. It's very tough. It's horrible looking stuff, but it has a certain charm. I like the Marx drag set is a very rare set to find. Some of the hot rod sets, especially the one that has the convertible hot rod, very difficult. And then, they had cars made in Hong Kong by Speed King that were called Speed Marks, which were 1/43rd scale. And they sold those in Europe and here in the States, to make it even cheaper. And they sold a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff was sold through Penny's or through Sears, Allstate. And so a lot of the sets will say that. And sometimes they made special sets just for these companies. But, I'll give you, if you could find a Markland set from 1906, I'm sure at auction it would go for probably around 50,000. I have no doubt about it, because you have the Markland collectors, and they'll spend 10, 12,000 just on a station, a train station. So the stuff if it could be found. But nothing's been found earlier than Lionel. And the 1912 Lionel cars, none of those have been found. They look identical to the later ones, but the wheels underneath are different. Most people don't know there's two versions. And I've never seen the earlier version. And I think they made it for a year or less before they switched it. You know, and then you know, you guys race at tracks, right? Commercial tracks. And we have the cars from the first commercial track that's in recorded history, 1931, 32, the Kennedy cars, the Bugattis that were rail cars. We have one of the cars from his from the track he had in his house, and he modified it for commercial racing so it wouldn't come off. But these are rail racers, 6 lanes, you paid and you raced. And so that was real popular in the 30s. We have a French set, there were German. There's a lot of that type of stuff. Those things rarely ever survive because they were treated really harshly by people.
Well, I can imagine, yeah, because most of the people driving them really didn't know what the heck they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Now, what about 60s stuff? I mean, you know, we have a special place in our heart for them. I know they were mass produced, but even to get those, like a nice monogram set now, as you were saying, I guess they're not as plentiful as they were at one point.
Well, the monogram 4-lane set, I haven't seen one for sale in many, many years. My guess, if it showed up on eBay, would probably end up at around 1,000 is my guess. It'd be the same as the Revell, except it seems to be a little bit more rare than the Revell set.
Right.
But there's stuff from the 60s that's extremely rare. You know, it depends. I mean, how many of y'all have seen like what's a good example? There's plenty of stuff from, those are beautiful sets. There's plenty of stuff from the 60s that's extremely, extremely rare. The cars, etc. Not just foreign stuff, but even American stuff. You know, if you, you know, Philippe Gillespie did a wonderful book recently, and it goes into a lot of the stuff, but even he doesn't have everything in there. And there's 1 or 2 mistakes in there. But for instance, have you ever seen a 1/24 scale go-kart set from the 1960s? You know, we have one that's out of Hong Kong, and it's an incredible set. It comes with trees, hay bales, everything, a weird, goofy cover, gigantic set, or a stock car racing set by Marathon. We have the first Atlas set, HO set, but it's not, it has the same cover with the T-Bird, but on the front, it has patent pending with several countries. That's the giveaway. There's something weird about it. You open it up and it's all Marathon packing and Marathon cars. So it was never sold in the United States. It was made right when Marathon and Atlas made their first deal, where Marathon would produce all of Atlas's cars and stuff. But the set, I think we have the only one known to exist. And it's in mint in the box shape. It's never been used. It has a Carmen Ghia and a Mercedes 300 SL. You know, really, if you find a Marathon Volvo P18, you're going to pay at least 1,000, if not more. A Volvo 550, you'll be paying at least 800. That's Marathon, one of the bigger manufacturers. But there's plenty of other cars. I mean, we'll look at Scale Electric, for instance. You know, an Austin Healey, a 10-plate Austin Healey, they made it for probably less than a year. And those start at around 500 or 600 each and go up. And the set that they made has never been found. We know they made a set. There had to be very few of them made. I have a Tomy set. You know, when you think of Tomy, you think of HO. Well, they made a Indy car in 1/24 scale, which you see occasionally, which we have. But they also made a 1/32 scale set with the Harvey aluminum specials in it. And that's never been made, produced in 1/32 scale back in the 60s. And we have that set, though the box isn't in the best of shape, but you get whatever you can. So yeah, prices vary. The question is, are the values of slot cars going up or are they going down? Are the older people dying out and the collections being sold? But, you know, I think from what I've seen on eBay around the world, prices are still going up. If the condition is really good, the prices seem to be going up. And there seem to be a new generation of slot car people. I'd say out of every 5 of us who are older, there's at least one new person that's beginning to get into it just a little bit. So it's, you know, it's sort of a hobby in some ways, like trains, which is dying out to some degree. or there's other hobbies like that, radio collecting, things like that. People that collect vintage radios.
Well, I know even vintage guitars right now, the market is soft because a lot of people just aren't playing guitars anymore. And yeah, that's true. Yeah. So the market is diminished to some extent. So it could just be demographically driven as well.
Well, one of the problems, of course, is that a lot of young people, like my daughter's 27, they're not as interested in collecting as maybe we were. But the other difference is that a lot of them have student debt. I mean, you're talking literally, billions of dollars. And a lot of students have $200, $400, $500 a month payments. So they live at home and they're not going to buy a car or a motorcycle. It's one of the things hurting, Harley, for instance, is young people aren't buying Harleys. Or the cheapest Harley is $13,500. And, if you have a student debt payment, you're not going to buy it. You're not going to buy a house. You're going to live at home or whatever. There's a lot of things you aren't going to buy because of that. I know a lot of people. My daughter has student debt, for instance, and of course we help her with it. But it's a lot of things affecting young people, and I think if they didn't have, this is the first generation where they're living more poor than any other generation, than their parents, and so that could be affecting all of it. But slot cars still, what's a Carrera set cost? An average Carrera set's about $300, isn't it? A new one? I think it's around $300. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for some people.
Their top end sets, I think some of them are more than $600. The high-end sets, 124. Lots of traffic.
Sorry, John, your microphone is still doing that thing where we can barely hear you.
Okay.
You sound like you're underwater.
I feel like I'm.
But we forget. When we look at old prices and we see an HO regular Aurora set went for about the 4-lane sets in 1962 went for about $28, and we think that's pretty cheap, but it wasn't. It was $280 back then, and $280 back then is not, it's just a lot of money. People didn't make as much. I mean, in 62 you could buy a Chevy for about $2,600, I think, $3,000. Compare that to something now. So I think that I think that when you're collecting, you want to collect stuff that's rare. You want to collect stuff that was popular, like Cox 2Es. They're not rare at all, but they go for big money because everybody had one or wanted one when they were younger from our generation. And so they go for good money. Cox, Tamiya, those companies have very good reputations, so people spend more money on them. But there's cars a lot more rare that go for even more money. There's stuff from Hong Kong by Speed King, a dragster, for instance, will go for those prices. There's stuff that would go for even more. I mean, if you had a Firebolt from Speed King, you put it on eBay, it'd probably go for $800, and it's just a cheap Hong Kong car. You can't get one if you wanted one, but most people, how many of y'all even know they made one? See, that's the thing. And so one of the things we do at the museum, I post a lot, but I try to educate people on what's out there. And while it may drive the prices up on some stuff, it's still, people should know. People shouldn't be in ignorance, and it makes it more fun, and it helps bring the value of which, if you already have it, it actually brings the value up. So, I think sharing stuff helps the hobby a lot. And the history, where our hobby comes from. It's fascinating. I mean, we had 15 public tracks in Houston, Texas. And when I was a little kid, I used to race on a track. And my mom would go shopping and leave me at the track to race. I remember seeing my first scale electric Bentley and Bugatti and stuff, and they were $15 back then. Your average car was about $5. Average HO car was about $3, but those were 15 because I guess the import tax and everything else, the British pound was, so worth so much back then. Still worth more than the dollar, but really back then, I think it was much higher. And so that's one of the reasons Scale Electric quit selling in the United States. That's why Lionel began producing their own cars instead of handling Scale Electric at Polk's and stuff for the first couple of years. So, it just became too expensive.
Well, the other factor too is that, racing in the 60s was part of the social fabric. I mean, it was a real event. I suspect it's not as popular now as it was then.
No, well, a lot of more young people were involved back then. I mean, I remember getting my car ready. I'd paint it and I'd have glue all over the windshields. I didn't care. I just wanted to get down there and see how it would do. And, but you don't have that nowadays like you did. They were really big events. If you look at the old photographs, you'll see you didn't just have the racers, but you had a huge audience all around the racers watching this stuff. It was very exciting. Of course, it was new, and now it's not as new.
Yeah, and they were all wearing suits, Bernard.
In England, oh yeah, here too. You're right. The Russ Kit team, they had suits with ties. They looked as dorky as you could look. But back then, they gave away a Mustang or a car if you won the national championships. I'd dress up too. Yeah. And I've seen all the pictures of the British racers. And, there's a wonderful book on the history of British racing. Who put that out? Was it Malcolm? It's a wonderful book just on, the commercial racing in England. I have a dear friend. He's passed away now, but in England, y'all would know him, Derek Cooper. And he used to come here every year, and he made me about 20 special cars, but he was a very famous racer. He had shoulder length hair, wore a weird cap, wore a cape, and carried his cars in a violin case.
Actually, to your point, Bernard, here's a Sears catalog shot from 1966. And, look at the prices here. I can zoom in once we get to it, but it's pixelating a little bit. But
$5.99 for the controller.
Yeah, and look at the 24th scale. There's some Cox cars here. Like this Cox, then K&B, Revell.
Yep.
And then they also sold parts. Oh, there's my favorite controller, the Revell controller. Oh my gosh. The one that looks like a doorbell.
Oh yeah. How much? That was transistorized, I think.
But they actually used parts from what do you call it? Ignition of a car. Points. It was a points controller. It was some sort of capacity. Actually, I have it right here. Hang on. Of course, I have it here. Wait, let me just stop this here.
Yeah, we have one of those in the box.
Yeah.
We have a big collection of controllers.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Yeah, this is my small collection, but these things here, like it displays so nicely. Like, look at even just the packaging. It was awesome. Yeah,
yours is in a little clam-shaped box.
Yep. There. And of course, I couldn't even open it to take I got an extra. I had to read the booklet, so I just got an extra one so I could read it. But I'm not anal, okay?
Well, y'all know that of course, besides the cars and the sets, you have the buildings and the figures to collect, the catalogs, the controllers, all the different tools that were done, for making chassis and checking the RPMs of your car, and all that stuff is very
yes. Dewan, excellent. There you go. Yeah, and then this was the second generation, and they got funky with the plastic. But if you try to use one of these, it won't work because the plastic distorts. There you go. Yes, that's the one. Oh, beautiful. Now, have you tried them on your track, Dewan?
No, mine's meant in the box, so I just left it in there. Are you showing a picture right now? I don't see anything.
Oh, are you looking at Dewan or?
Huh? I didn't know if you were showing a picture.
Dewan was holding up actual controllers.
Dewan's holding up. Oh, he's got it too. There you go. Dewan's holding up what I'm holding up. Unfortunately, Dewan, we can't hear you.
Oh, I'm muted. No,
no, you're good. Okay, now you just weren't talking.
That's right. It's easy if you don't talk.
So Dewan was holding up the same thing I was. Only I still have mine in the packaging because
I have two in packages.
See, there you go. And you wonder why we don't get along. Yeah, you wonder why.
Are y'all showing pictures? I don't see anything. Everything is black.
You
You're
can't
looking
see.
at something else then, Bernard. You managed to switch away from Zoom because you should be
We can
seeing
see
people
you.
talking and holding things up.
No, I can see. I can see all the squares next to me, and I can see myself, but there's nothing in them. I'm the only person I can see in there. Well, I see Jeremy, but it's a still.
Yeah, something
That's
wrong
weird.
with your Zoom. Sorry.
Oh yeah, if you get into Zoom, you can change the configuration of what you see.
Oh.
Up in the top right view, change it to
Get a
speaker.
rebate.
Change it to what?
Speaker. That way, whoever's speaking, you'll see them in the spotlight.
Okay, I don't see anything that says speaker.
No,
Upper right corner where it says view, and then you can have speaker or gallery, whatever you choose.
Oh, okay. So I want to put which one? Gallery view?
A
try
gallery
gallery.
shows all of us.
Right.
The speaker view, whoever's name is speaking, like mine's yellow right now, it'll show my square, the whole thing.
Yeah, I see your square just then lit up, but you're the only person I see, and it's a still.
You should play the lottery. You're lucky. You get to see me only.
Okay, let's,
Well, I do see myself as well.
let's deal with learning how to use Zoom some other time. We still got a few minutes left in our podcast to talk about slot cars. So I'm still curious about when John asked Dewan if he used those controllers. You nodded, but tell us about that experience.
Yeah, tell us what it's like.
Well, I've used the controllers, and I'm planning on having some vintage races that are going to be everyone using those controllers in all four of the lanes. So, but yeah, they buzz. It's really weird when you come in there because it's got feedback that you just don't expect. Yeah, they're touchy, but they work. They work.
Are they two wire or
like
three
them.
wire?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What?
Two wires or three wires?
Three. Yeah, and then the reason that they buzz is that if you go off track, it vibrates to basically tell you that there's no connectivity and your car's off the track.
Are they two wire or three wire?
Three. Yep.
So they have brakes. Okay.
Yes.
Recreating. He's making Dewan wood. Going to make everybody dress like it's 1965.
Yeah.
Oh, that means we have to let our hair grow. Oh man.
They had buzz cuts back then too.
Are they like switches then, or have they got some progressive element to them?
Yeah, it's not like putting two wires together at full speed.
All right, so now you want me to dig up a picture of what they look like inside. Is that what you want?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay, give me a second.
They're very
John,
on eBay. It's had one for sale for $135. Used,
All right, well,
been modified and the horrible condition. And the ones that I bought, I've never paid more than $20 for mine. The one in the box. I think maybe $30 for the one that's never been opened.
Yeah, and the ones you want to use, Dewan, are like the really the grayish ones. The ones with the funky colors, the plastic actually distorts and they won't work properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they look cool. They look cool.
Worse. Yeah.
hey, John, while you're looking, did my car show up?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And another one did. So I've got 3 of the 6 that are in, and yeah, yours looks like it's going to be on a used car lot somewhere.
It's fast. It's not pretty.
That like my dates in high school, man.
Actually, it's not even fast.
Well, it's all about how they handle. That's what I'm really enthused about, just to see how people were approaching the whole chassis
Just has
thing.
to be, doesn't have to be fast. It just has to be faster than the others.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah, it's like running away from a bear. You just have to be faster than the guy who isn't as fast. That's all.
Or handle really well.
What were we waiting for? Oh, we were waiting for John to find a photograph.
Yeah, I'm looking. I have one of. I took one apart and took a picture of it. I just have to find it. But no, please talk amongst yourselves. I'll keep looking.
I've been putting this picture up, these photos up of this Lotus 66. Are y'all familiar with that? I'd never seen it before, but apparently it sort
It's
of
been all over the internet lately. I mean, I don't know that I don't know that one was ever built originally, but I think that, and maybe one has been built now as a like a replica
Continuation.
or a continuation.
Well, yeah, one was never built. They did the plan. Apparently, they found the plans in some drawer somewhere, and plans and sketches. And somebody said, "Okay, let's build it." But it was, of course, intended to run in the Can-Am.
I think the plan was to build a series of cars for those that could afford a batch of them.
Yeah,
track
I think they're making the thing I read recently. They're making 10 examples. I assume they're going to put them all up for sale except maybe one. But this is the first completed.
Yeah, but it never was built back in the day, back in the, what would it have been, 60 or 70, 71, somewhere around there.
72, something like that.
Yeah, it's a Can-Am race car, yeah?
Yes.
It was
Yeah,
going to be a
style.
Can-Am car.
Yeah,
That's
really.
pretty cool. Yeah.
When mine gets there, I'll share the pictures with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Didn't know somebody was ready to make a 32nd scale. Well, maybe maybe Area 71.
I'm talking full size, Dennis.
Okay. But that would be a cool slot car.
Yeah, that'd be.
You need the MR slot car guide though from the Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know so much. I think it's got just enough nose that you might just get a regular one in there.
Could be.
Like a Lotus 72
looks
up
like
front.
like a Lotus 72 with pontoon fenders.
Yeah.
Sure does.
It'd be a cool slot car.
Yoda's not here today.
Painted black, put gold trim on it. Oh, come on.
The 4-lane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a rare set.
Showing off to one.
Rotate that picture.
How's the inside look? Does it have all the cardboard inserts?
But that separate the components, keep the components separate.
You're muted, Dewan, in case you were trying to talk to us.
Yeah, we didn't hear a word of that, but
Yeah, I didn't realize I was muted. I'm sorry about that. I was just saying I had
a really cool track picture of the, but what?
Sebring set.
in my mid condition.
Dang it.
Yeah, and I had a couple of the Riverside tracks. I think that's one of the ones I gave Dennis.
Yeah, I actually tried to set that up the other day and realized I just almost don't have enough space. It's the Riverside set is really big.
Big set, yeah.
It's like 17 feet long. Yeah.
And I think that you had every single component was accounted for in yours.
Yeah, it's great.
Have you opened the Sebring set?
Yeah, I have one or two more of those. I kind of have like 2 or 3 sets of almost everything in monograms. I don't know why.
You're reliving your childhood. That's why.
Well, unlike Bernard, you're building a warehouse, Dewan.
And I don't even want to disclose my Revell.
We all know you're the king of Revell.
I'm gonna go there. Yeah.
Yeah, he revels in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I had a very, very good Americana set and had it in my garage out here in Vegas. And it got so hot in that garage. I mean, the cardboard just baked. And so it was it was in pristine condition, and the whole outer shell just you touch it, it almost wants to just disintegrate it. So I had no idea that it was going to end up that way. I would have had a much better environment. It's a shame.
There are some ways to restore cardboard. You know, if it's all lumpy and stuff, sometimes you can iron it. You have to put like a towel in between, but you can iron it, and that'll help sometimes. And there's special tape for the insides that fits the color of the box, and so we have to do a lot of restoration of boxes. They just don't survive.
Yeah, and I didn't have the mindset of really making mine a museum set type of thing. I was collecting it just for my collections. I kind of, yeah.
Well, of course, if museums only had mint in the box stuff, there wouldn't be a Louvre or anything, because all those statues are missing their arms and stuff. So they just throw them away. It's not mint in the box, throw it out.
Right, true.
Or erase it. Put it
Erase
together,
it.
erase it.
That's
play
what
with it.
that's what they were made for.
Yes,
There's certainly more to art than package.
correct.
Well,
You at least
gives
understand
But that's why the packaging is so dear, because it was made to be disposable. Nobody was meant to keep it.
Yeah.
Well, there were some sets that actually had wooden boxes, I think,
Wow.
and some of the stuff definitely. When they put the clear plastic bubbles over stuff, as soon as you opened it, that was it. But the stuff that had vacuum for them and styrofoam insides and stuff, you could put the stuff back. But kids didn't do it. You threw it in a drawer with a whole bunch of other cars and stuff, and so that's why the stuff. And of course, it takes up room. So most kids would have one set. You didn't. No one ever thought. I never knew any kids that had more than one set at a time. You got your one set, you played with it, you either went into commercial tracks and bought individual cars. But very few people would buy one set and another year buy another set. It wasn't like the Marx play sets where every Christmas, you got a new play set. It was different.
Yeah, and those play sets, they remember the carry-all play sets that were like in the tin suitcase. Yeah,
Those are the latest.
yeah, that's right. So you actually could put it away and carry it and take it to your friends and stuff. Yeah.
Everything was plastic. Marx made these wonderful play sets, but some of their slot car stuff is very similar. They have a couple of different slot car sets that came with figures, a 6-man pit crew, and you'd get 2 little pit stands. You'd get a little tree, a rubber silver tree with all these tools that would pop up, just like the play sets. And then you got a 1 or 2 grandstands, depending on the set. There were a couple sets that had 2 grandstands. So you had sort of like a play set as well. Most companies didn't do that. You had to buy everything separate, the buildings and everything separate.
See, that's what now I did find. Here's the Marx figures from their slot car set right here.
You're missing one.
Which one am I missing?
You're missing the guy that holds the stopwatch. There's 6 figures. Now,
Oh.
also these figures were also produced in Hong Kong in hard plastic where they were painted. And the rare ones are HO scale. Now, we don't know if they were ever sold separate. They seem to have never come in a set, and they're almost impossible to find. But we have like 2 sets of them, but they're identical, but they're HO scale. And also they made spectators. They made 3 different spectators, and I missed out on them. They were recently on eBay. Each spectator was sold separately. If any of y'all saw them, they went for over $100 a figure. That's how rare they were.
Well, Marx was so well known for their sculptors. I mean, like their army guys, these guys were just incredibly well sculpted, 1/32 scale. Yeah,
They did beautiful. They did beautiful.
Great work.
The only problem with the Marks figures is that the guns with bayonets and stuff, they would bend. You know, they would, they would curl up a little bit and stuff. I used to get them every Christmas. I got a set. It was cool. The space sets are really nice, but it's the Benver set and the blue and the gray set and the FBI one. Those are some of the big sets. Of course, the skyscraper set. If you find one of those in the box, you're paying over $1,000 easily. That skyscraper was like 36 inches high, 10 plate with figures and desk, and it had an elevator in it. It was a beautiful piece.
Well, I think that's probably a